Time for an informational. Blizzard clarifies 10.0 profession revamp and recrafting details. Guess what? They're really good. Really good. Fucking hell, crafting might actually be something.
Yeah, after a long time of being like this supplementary thing that you kind of did while you were playing the game. Because obviously, you know, the content involved in them became so much lesser over the years. And now they're like, yeah.
And not to have, like, the entire population of FF14 repel through the window and kill me. In some ways, it looked like, oh, they're copying FF14 in gearing. Or not in gearing, sorry, in professions. A few ways, they're kind of innovating.
Yeah.
Doing some cool new shit.
Yeah, I think
just really, really nice to see.
The only way I think, without looking at it, oh, Vivaldi's just crashed, fantastic. The only way that they've really overtly copied is just, here's 2 stats.
Yeah.
And that's really it. It's like, I mean, obviously you could go, well, high quality materials. You're like, yeah, I guess there's argues that they're copying, but it doesn't look like they've just leaned over and went, what's that doing? Oh, we'll just do that. It's like, they've taken parts of it, they are trying new things, and it's clear to me that they are actually like, based on all of these posts anyway that we're about to cover, they definitely did sit down and think about it. Instead of just, solution, copy that's done. Which is like, almost like, like we were saying earlier, it's like they've had the time to think ahead of solving problems and think ahead of making something good.
Yeah.
As opposed to just give them what they are immediately calling for and then move on to next thing. So.
Yeah, so look, this is pretty brilliant stuff. Professions in World of Warcraft could genuinely end up in a really fantastic place in a way that would make me, when I go into this next expansion, think about what professions I want for my character, and some of that may tie into gearing. And I know in the past there was the discourse on, oh, these professions are required for you to be good. Well, number one, the work order system actually seems to get around that, which is quite delicious. But number two, there's a degree of that does fit the fantasy.
For sure.
You know, it's like if you're a hunter, leather worker, because leather working makes male.
Yeah,
really makes sense, does it? But to get the professions and maybe match the fantasy of your character, for all those sort of things to be in alignment,
like the
kind of work.
The tremendous fantasy I had back in Mists of Pandaria, where I was a ret paladin and prot ospec, who was a herbalist for lifeblood for the haste.
Made sense.
Just a flower picking Draenei paladin. Perfect.
Yeah. So hopefully they do get this stuff right.
Yeah.
To go in though, right? So. Our initial forum posts will kind of go through all the big wins that could be happening here. So, who's this from? I don't know. Well, whoever they are, they say, I'm going to try to slowly work through this and address some of the bigger points and questions as I have time. I want to address some of the confusion around how you improve your profession and thus craft/gather things at a higher quality. Because people, based on the legendary crafting situation, were seeing this and thinking, oh, fuck, I need 1,000 WoW tokens. I'll have no money left.
Yep.
Well, you do not directly get better at a recipe by crafting it multiple times, as you did with legendaries in Shadowlands. Saying that was an interesting system, but ultimately requires a huge gold investment and can get repetitive, meaning that only players with loads of gold can engage, and that also made Legos be super expensive. So there you go, they are acknowledging those issues. In this revamp, there are many ways to improve at your profession, which will be talked about soon. The goal is that the pursuit of profession progression is through compelling and fun activities over spending loads and loads and loads of gold. Now, obviously, it's profession, so they are saying gold's going to have its place. Duh, I mean, we all expect that. We just don't want a repeat of a crazy situation like with the Legos, where people feel like it's maybe millions of gold they need. So yeah, you're still going to want to buy some reagents or stuff like that, or make orders for high-end crafting gear, but that should not gate your ability to dive into and have lots of success with your chosen professions. That's from Grow.
Yep.
Now, there's a new thing we've just heard about. The recrafting system. And this is cool. This is actually really cool.
Damn straight.
So, get ready. It's coming. One thing I want to talk about that we haven't mentioned is the concept of recrafting. It's still in the works, so it's likely to change some, but the basic idea is this. It will allow you to take any piece of Dragonflight crafted gear and bring it back into the crafting screen as a crafter. you can spend a special reagent plus a small subset of the original reagents to recraft that item. During this, you can completely change out the optional reagents if you want. Recrafting, reforging. No. The new quality of the item will be determined based on the new setup of reagents plus your current skill. This means you can have an item crafted at a low quality, then later recraft it when you are at a higher skill to a higher quality. For the non-crafters, they're planning to support recrafting orders as well. This is via the work order system. In this case, you can send your item to get recrafted to have its optional reagents changed out or to potentially have its quality increased. So let's say you have a crafted item and you're thinking, shit, well, there's a better version of this that I want. You could go and put that item into the work order system, tell the work order system what you want, and I suppose how much you're willing to pay for a crafter to do it. And then on the other side of it, a crafter will go to the work order system, browse the available orders, I suppose. We don't know exactly how it'll work, but they can browse the available orders, see your order, fulfill it. They'll get some stuff, you'll get your item. Absolutely. And this is a beautiful, synergistic thing they're creating.
Yeah, it certainly beats the day of, there's 40 million items that are crafted on the auction house that no one wants, because what are you going to do? Disenchant them, vendor them, scrap them, yeah?
Yeah, and there's potentially some awesome things here, like even, BOP stuff.
Yep.
Great example, professions. Maybe we'll cover this later, but professions can actually replace the creation catalyst. I think Ian said this is likely what's going to happen. So the idea could be that you get a bind on pickup, a soulbound item, that is maybe the item that is required to convert something into a piece of tier gear like in the Creation Catalyst. Well, using the work order system, you can have a crafter make that craft for you. It's just great. It gives crafters a place in the game. And it also means that they don't have to go and build a new Creation Catalyst and a new currency and a new all of that all the time. So overall, Drow says, all this should help players feel comfortable having a high-end item crafted early when it may not be at max quality, secure in the knowledge they can always have it recrafted to be better later. And that recraft is going to, it doesn't cost as much, right? Exactly, it's not like you're just making the item again. The fact that you made it in the first place, like that investment still stands to you.
Yeah, it's so
great system.
Like... I mean, it's kind of like if you were going to design a crafting system for a game from the ground up, this is stuff you'd be thinking about. And that's what I think is really quite interesting to me compared to everything else we've seen. It's way more than I expected from anything like Profession Revamp. And that has me certainly a little bit more hopeful directionally going forward than I had expected as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this. This is all fundamental, dare I say it, really good systems design.
Yes. Yes.
I did say, dare I say it. So, I mean, I know I could get clowned on for that.
Yeah, it's systems designed, but it's systems design in the literal sense, not systems design in the why are they throwing borrowed power into our game? Why are they throwing shards of domination in? What is this?
I think...
Get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very clear we are... What's interesting? Ian said he didn't want to close the door on there being another domination shards thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want that door to be closed either, because maybe there's a good idea for a patch, and it'll be fun for a patch. Final patch of the expansion, crazy theme, maybe, I don't know, we have a massive dragon storyline at the end of this expansion, and maybe Blizzard wants to throw in some weird dragon-y thing, maybe give us a few cool bells and whistles or whatever. I want them to be able to do that. What I'm concerned about is just what is the baseline way that we do things. And it's like Shards of Domination could have been a good fun system. The problem is that it was shit.
Yeah.
Could have been good, but it was shit. So if they can do a thing like that in the future, I mean, take Corruption Gear.
Yeah.
Could we say that Corruption Gear, with its final level of balance, with its final amount of deterministic acquisition, that could have been a fun little thing for that patch. Like, if patch 8.3 shipped with a non-rotating vendor for corruptions and a currency that you could earn for them, could have been a fun little system. maybe wouldn't have been controversial, and people would have thought, oh, I remember that crazy time. I just loaded up in too many of them. It was pretty insane. Look at my massive parse. Oh, what a time. And even as you go into, say, horrific visions, like, I think corruptions were almost more fun in horrific visions and stuff. Just in that sort of solo thing. So, yeah, I don't want to close the door on things. But at least the fundamental quality, health of the game, whatever, fundamental decisions, they all seem to be so much better.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, obviously,
Great.
I still have a whole bunch of questions on execution.
Yeah.
Because they could really, like, you can have great ideas and then just destroy them the last second. Or you can have ideas that are, like, not bulletproof, but they're easy to execute, and then you do it and it's done. I think a lot of what I've been concerned about with the team overall is they've been biting off more than they can chew. So I'm hoping that they do have the resources to take this and actually go for it and be like, yeah, we know we have the resources to commit to this and support it throughout the entire expansion. But because it's so fundamental, they kind of have to. Whereas like Legendaries, they kind of tacked on bits repeatedly. It very felt tacked on. Whereas this is something that you kind of, building from the ground up means you can actually plan, I guess.
That's it.
I guess.
Yeah, so it's just crazy to think about, isn't it?
For sure.
Like, and right, this is something you should clown on me for when I do this, and I still do it knowing that. Because I don't want to do the whole Dragonflight makes me excited for 11.0 because it's like you just fucking kick the can down the road again and again and again. And so, so I don't exactly mean it like that, but I mean Dragonflight doesn't get to be a selection of extremely excitable Twitch emotes in its immediate response, because what Dragonflight has to do is to kind of rebuild the foundations, and that's not sexy. Like, I don't know if Ian can really say, hey, talents, we're sort of doing them again, and people go, oh, talents! I mean, a lot of us who are really into the game will, but it's not like some crazy back-of-the-box feature that someone, not that this is how people buy games, but it's not the sort of thing where you look at the back of the box and be like, oh, talent revamp, cool, I'm going to buy this. What you want to do is look at the back of the box and see Caverns of Time, new feature, awesome. And then you buy that, right? So the cost of this expansion is that the most work they're doing, these really cool things, are like, they're not sexy. And like the sexy thing they've done is the dragon riding, perhaps. But if this means that World of Warcraft is like, it has better foundations, it's a more fundamentally healthy game with just a more fundamentally sustainable design philosophy, that I think makes, like, I think, say, imagine a player housing system that has some cool gameplay attached to it and is just a really, top-notch implementation of a system like that, so that even for the people who aren't excited about player housing, at least they think it's neat that they kill a raid boss and they can hang its head from their hearth. As like a visualization of achievements even. I think that system is literally impossible in a world where we have to do Covenants as a massive build-around feature, Artifact Weapons as a massive build-around feature. Those, I think, are only possible in a world where the new expansion has 10 new levels and 10 more talent points and maybe a few little additions and some class changes. Surely that means that they can make the other cool shit.
You would certainly hope so.
Yeah, instead of just all of their effort being, we've thrown that borrowed power away, let's make it again.
Yeah.
Has to be different.
Yeah, let's
hope they can't tell.
Yeah. It's the fundamental question of, like, I guess trusting them as developers to, make the right choice all the time, even if they have, like, they have more resources, but do they still, obviously a lot of their philosophy has been changing, but it's like, do they have the right setup here for this? Because I've seen people clown on them for only having the it's on the website, they have like a 2x2 grid for bullet points or features, and they only have 3. And I've seen people all over the place laughing like they don't even have enough work on this game to fill a 4 bullet points of features. That's like, well, you don't want features, you want the parts of the game that we know exist to be actually good, as opposed to kind of struggling a little bit. I mean, obviously, like raid design stuff, raid encounter design's been fantastic. Kind of mixed on some of the Shadowlands dungeons, but playing through most of them again recently in M+, I'm like, these are actually really good. Like, Tazavix is a hell of a lot of fun. A hell of a lot of fun. Just I wish it had shipped being fun and not completely broken. But that aside, is like, if they can work on that stuff, like they've seemingly been doing with this profession stuff. It's like, yeah, that's a feature. But it's like if they can work on content, not features, as Dr. Frankenberry says, then that's way better. But it boils down to, with that extra time, will they be able to make the right decisions? And has that been the limiting factor? Like, has it been the resource limit or has it been them? And that's what we'll find out when we get to... We won't find it out in alpha. We'll find it out in beta.
Yeah.
We'll find it out, or as beta, as it should be said. You'll find it out in alpha, then feedback wave, then beta. Assuming we give them good feedback, which I think everyone intends to.
Yeah, we will do our best.
Yep.
So to go on through a few more things for looting that. Looting? What? For... professions. Whew. I've had a very fractured existence this week.
Yep.
Okay. Right. I just hope some of the profession items can compete with raid gear too. Or at least be able to highly level it to the point, at least to enhance it best in slot. And basically, I want the things I make from professions to be cool. Yeah. And people at least think of the past, and they're like, oh, imagine being a weaponsmith, blacksmith, and you could make that cool weapon that was cool and actually useful for longer than so many of the things in Shadowlands where all the crafted gear is fucking useless, other than the one that they'll let you use the more powerful, single equip crafter's mark on, right? And this is where I think we got some really good news here. It is absolutely the case that we plan on having crafted gear be able to compete with top-end gear from other sources, and in some cases even be best in slot. One of the most important goals to the work order system is enabling crafted gear to be much more relevant to the game across all activities. Just remember, in order to have that powerful gear crafted for yourself, you'll need to go out and earn special soulbound reagents to provide, the crafter with. So, that.
Very good.
But overall, I think, it's just... There are so many more things that you as a non-crafter can do when you have crafting in this state and the work order system. And then there are so many more things you can just do as a crafter.
Yeah, it's like they I guess the major kind... I don't like fucking clown on them for everything, but I definitely I hope they have solutions for gold included in this.
True. Or
a way that this doesn't become a he who WoW tokens wins. Or he who's been, keeping control of the market for the past, since Warlords of Draenor. It's like, did you not have 15 alts doing the mission table in Warlords? Sorry, you're not allowed to play the game unless you're like completely insane. Even talking with Luke recently about TSM and the sheer power of how you basically can't make money without TSM going super hard from a player driven source. And it's I hope they have a plan for that, but that'll be I guess we'll have to see. Hopefully someone asks them about that on the console. Yeah. So that'd be nice to see. But yeah.
Grindiness. Talk about that. So just saying, I don't want to go into a lot of detail on the plan system, but the intent is it's generally not grindy when attempting to earn gear appropriate to your activity. So if you're a normal raider, your normal raid provides enough reagents to allow you to craft a limited amount of normal raid item level gear without needing to go and do a bunch of other stuff. But if, say, you wanted to craft heroic raid tier gear as a normal raider, you could choose to go out and do other activities such as M+ PvP or other challenging outdoor activities to supplement the reagents required and get the better gear sooner. So, fair enough. It's just stuff that will come down to how it is actually balanced. But hey, maybe in a world where we're wanting some more deterministic gearing, perhaps the work order system and the sorts of reagents you'll get, maybe Blizzard are not going to end up having what they have for, say, Season 4. Maybe that's something crafters end up doing. Who the hell knows, really?
That would certainly make sense with how everything's implemented at the minute.
Yeah. And in general, we'd like crafted gear to feel like something you are earning at a satisfying rate alongside your other gear sources. Say you had bad luck and got no drops while raiding, you'll still be making progress towards some high-end crafted gear because you are getting those reagents. And we kind of talked about that point earlier in this stream, didn't we? So that, cool. And say you just can't get legs to drop for you, you may choose to have legs crafted to fill that particular slot with a larger upgrade. For some crafted gear, you might also need to seek out a special rare drop off a certain mob in a world, dungeon, raid as well. Earning crafted gear should feel like a bonus, an adventure, and a social experience. So I think this fundamentally seems like just a more interesting and healthy design.
Yeah.
Then a question here on basically small server-related issues. They just said, look, we know there could be issues, so we'll maybe hear more later. Anything you can get towards profession items and world PvP, I'd like more than just glider and nitro boots. We definitely have world PvP in mind with our crafting plans, both with interesting recipes and with regards to gathering professions, but they're not ready to talk yet. Could be interesting things there. For some older things being usable, I've lost my... There we go. Nothing specific, but we think you'll be excited to see the new stuff in store.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is weird because obviously this goes against the kind of, oh, well, you know, you're throwing out old content, but like a new way to kind of not have to go spend tons of money on Pandaren engineering to get the... I can't remember. Is it the glider or the boots? Whichever one it is. I know it's like one's Kata, one's Panda, but whenever I swap them in, I have to go and do a whole load of spend a whole load of gold on engineering from old world mats just to start making the boots and the glider because I can't live without them anymore. So it's like I hopefully get like a hey, here's the new stuff. Here's a new version of these that are more interesting and more important or capable to get stuff like that. I think for sure.
Yeah.
What's the glider? I don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind. But my point still stands. I'm very bad at specifics. My brain's not good at specifics for this stuff.
So our next thing then,
Yep.
will the missive system or something similar be here in Dragonflight? We definitely think it's valuable to be able to adjust stats in some crafted gear. Customization is one of the coolest bits of crafting. As far as recrafting, changing those stats, the intent would be something like this would continue to be done through optional reagents. So in a case like that, yes, you could use recrafting to swap those optional reagents and change your secondary stats. So basically, seems like you'll have control over your secondary stats. Doesn't really feel good if you just have to randomly, craft an item again and again and again and again, trying to roll the stats you want. So that's good to hear. Then, is a system like reforging? Oh boy. Going to make a return in relation to, crafted gear or just gear. And just saying the recrafting thing is for crafted gear only, which certainly does mean that this crafted gear could fill an important role in the game because secondary stats are pretty fucking important.
Indeed.
Just for clarification, making up some numbers, if a item level 325 item cost 50 dragon scales to make and a 350 cost 75 dragon scales, would you only need 25 dragon scales to upgrade from 325 to 350 instead of needing to craft an all new item? Kind of talking along the similar lines to the Soul Ash and Soul Cinder sort of upgrading system, where the response was, the recrafting system shouldn't be thought of as an upgrade system. It's just a way to take something that has been crafted in the past and recraft it with changed optional reagents and possibly a different quality. And then some more examples were given. So let's walk through this. Here's our example. A crafted recipe might make a helm at between item level 325 and 335 depending on quality. It would require 100 dragon scales as its main reagent. A skilled crafter might be able to make it straight up at quality 5, like the highest sort of quality this item could be made at, which would be eye level 335. But a new crafter would only be quality level 1, which would be item level 325. In both cases, the reagent cost would be the same. Now, if, say, you got your piece crafted by an unskilled crafter at quality level 1, item level 325, maybe he's a friend and says, hey, I've been working my blacksmithing, now I can make it at quality level 5. Send me a recrafting order and I'll hook you up. You do. Your friend then recrafts your helm using the old helm, 20 dragon scales, and one of a special reagent he earned to recraft it. The result is now quality 5, item level 335. So the thing there is it's 100 dragon scales no matter what to craft this item. But to recraft at the higher quality, from 1 to 5, would only be, say, 20 dragon scales.
Yeah.
So basically the point being that the recrafting is just use that special reagent and a relatively small quantity of your initial spend. So meaning that it's not like you paid 100 dragon scales to get it at 325, and then you gotta spend 100 to go and get it at 335.
Yep.
Again, so better, and there you go.
Yeah, it seems like
That's that for crafting.
yeah, depending on how the actual like what the additional reagent is, this could definitely have a way of like completely changing how crafting gear feels. Because so much of it feels utterly worthless a lot of the time, especially when you're getting into like the old crafted gear. It's like it feels like there's just a massive amount of waste. But that's always been kind of the case in the game because, you know, you have to craft stuff to level it up. And so much of what you craft, especially as a blacksmith or as a, I guess tailor can make bags, but you know, leatherworker or a blacksmith, it's so much of it's just shit. And you're making it just to get better. And then you're throwing it out. You're like, there's bound to be a better way. And this seems to be roughly the better way, I guess. So that's, hopefully it works, but that's good. That's good stuff.
I'm really happy with what I'm hearing. Obviously, we need to wait and see how this all pans out. But, man, it seems like that good direction is actually where we're moving in.